And good evening, everyone, and welcome to the show. John Henry Soto here, along with George Batista. As always, this is a space for real conversations about creativity, purpose, and perseverance. We interview great artists who share what it truly takes to keep creating and evolving. The goal is simple here: to inspire you to stay committed to your craft and to use your work to uplift and help others. If you're building something meaningful, you are in the right place. And as always, George Batista is here with us. And Obba, sorry, Obba, I brought you up before I was supposed to. 1 second.
1 second. There we go. All right, there we go. But yes, John,
little faux pas.
That's a little preview, actually.
Little preview. That's right. That's right.
Who we have on the show today.
No, he's really here.
Go ahead, he's absolutely here. Yeah. So it's first of all, this man needs no introduction.
That's right.
I mean, he's an actor, director, producer, writer, Emmy Award winner. Okay. And just amazing stuff from stage to film to screen. He's done it all in this industry. And even more importantly to us, he is a friend of this show. And we love having him on. His latest work, he's got 2 independent films out, one called Ruby's Heart, and the other's called Love the Skin You're In. And we are absolutely honored to have him on this program. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Obba Babatundé. There he is. All right.
All right. Woo! A little preview there accidentally, but it was all good.
There's no accidents, brother. No mistakes. No coincidence. It's all intentional.
All intentional. Thank you so much for being here. As always, we're so grateful that you take the time to come here and to give us not only, you become a friend of the show, but your wisdom. And George can tell you that we actually quote you a lot on the show. We talk about you on different episodes. We tell stories that you've told us, because they've been so helpful. So we want to thank you so much for taking the time to be, for being with us here.
Well, listen, it is always a joy and an honor and a pleasure when I get an opportunity to be in your presence. I appreciate what you guys do. I appreciate the commitment, the work that you put in and the standard of excellence, and the continual support that you give to me and others like myself. It means so much. And so I honor you both, and I thank you both for always being an open door for me to come on and talk about the things.
Oh, God.
To hear that some of the things that I've been saying have been helpful, because that's at the end of the day, each one teach one.
Yes.
That's it.
Things
like that we always quote.
Yeah, what you know you teach, what you don't know you learn. If you're paying attention.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
That's
absolutely.
Right. And we have a lot to cover here today. We want to actually get started with George. I know we were talking earlier about some of the questions that we wanted to ask, because you're a friend of the show. You've been on a couple of times. I think this is your 3rd, maybe even 4th time on. And we want to really dive into independent filmmaking. We want to dive into the craft. We want to dive into that. We want into your 2 projects that you have coming out. We really want to kind of focus on that part of it, if that's okay.
That'd be perfect. I'm thrilled.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. So, George, do you have a question?
Yeah, well, actually, first, before we get into all that, first of all, I want to congratulate you on 50 years of entertainment. I mean, just incredible for sharing your talents with us and just the global audience. So, first of all, congratulations on that. And wanted to ask you, how do you feel about that when you look back at that?
Well, it's an honor. Really, when I started in this industry, I just want to say that I'm really appreciative of all this is to answer your question, all of the awards you mentioned earlier, about the Emmy and Tony nomination and so many awards. But I'm as thrilled as I am with the awards, I am really, what warms my heart is the reward. And the reward is what you guys give to me and people like yourselves. You know, the images that I've had the opportunity to go out, that I've shot and done on stage and big or small screen, go out around the world, have the potential to go around the world and suggest to somebody never having met either of you or anybody like you who you might be. So through these characters, I've been able to portray fully realized human beings. And my intention has always been to represent them in a full humanity of who they are as a human being. So when I run into, I hear you say what you guys are saying, enjoy your question, and then, you know, it's not a day that I that goes by that I don't go somewhere and somebody says, hey, aren't you, or you look like the guy who, and then I say, I am that guy.
Yeah.
And there's a smile. There's a smile that's on their face. And there's a warmth that comes from them. And that's the reward, because I've been able to give something to someone. And you know, they say, gentlemen, if you've been able to affect change in just one someone's life in your walk, your living has not been in vain.
That's
and
right.
so whenever I close my eyes for the last time around on this planet, I already know my living has not been in vain. That's it. So I can live every single day continuing to give, you know, and that's the answer directly as I can make it to your question is, how does it feel? It feels great because I come to every situation to give, because you get by giving. That's right. And so I don't come to get, I come to give. And that is the basis upon where I've had the opportunity for a half a century to be able to present art through the arts, whether it be music, dance, stage, screen, television, big screen, small screen, great shows like yours. You know, I've been able to express and share with people something about me and who I want to represent them in these particular characters. Fully realized human beings. That's the only thing I'm interested in portraying.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. And I said George asked a question, but I'm gonna actually jump in here because you just
good.
You know, with 50 years, a lot of characters. If you could revisit one of your performances with the current wisdom that you have now, is there something that you would do differently that you can think of?
You know, great question. Again, you know, in the craft, I am not, it's not Obba judging the performance. I'm not watching myself and saying, how great am I doing here? No. You see, the brain doesn't discern reality and fantasy. If it did, I couldn't be an actor. In other words, case point and example. The three of us are on an airplane in a movie. We're doing this movie. The three of us are supposed to be, it's scripted that we're on an airplane. And we're talking and laughing, and the plane hits some turbulence. And we go, whoa, what was that? And then it levels out. And then we continue talking. And then all of a sudden, it's scripted that it now hits some really rocky turbulence. And we begin to respond in a way like, what's going on? Okay. And then they say, cut. Underneath that contraption that we're in, we're not actually in an airplane. We're in our set piece. Right. And there's 2 or 3 guys underneath there with a piece of wood. And when the red light goes on, it's the cue for them to chug it. They jump up and down. Now, we respond like it's really happening. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, it is really happening. And then they say, cut. And you go, hey, can I get some water? I'm thirsty. Well, man, well, that was crazy, man. And then they say, okay, we're going to set up again. And now we go back. And so to be specific to the answer of your question, I'm never judging the person who I'm portraying, because I am that person at that time.
Right.
I am the 80-year-old guy in life sitting in a wheelchair, right? Talking to these guys about something that happened when they first come into to the work camp, see? And my hand has a slight tremor, see? Because that was born of the fact that he injured his hand in a claw hammer when he was 14. And he coughs like that because he smokes.
Wow.
Now, that's not Obba. That's that man.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the reality is, I couldn't go back and go, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that.
Right.
Because in the moment,
That's
I
the
was
guy.
living as that person.
Right. Right. I love it.
Wow. Wow. Incredible. So, and in, kind of piggybacking on a question like that, because I've always wondered about, I don't know that much about acting. John can speak to a lot of this better than I can, in terms of actors and stuff like that. But when you're preparing for these roles, are you the type of person, like you said, you are that person? Are you that person the entire time, even when you're not on set? Or are you? Do you have that line there? I've always wondered about that.
Another addendum to the question. Great, beautiful. I prepare for that character because every one of us, if anybody were to meet either of you today, they're meeting the culmination of your entire life and experience in that moment today.
That's right.
So that means that if I'm portraying a fully realized human being, what was his family like? Did he have brothers and sisters? What was the relationship with his mother and father? All of those things I go through. I'll give you an example, and then I'll answer the final part about, and do I live that throughout? I live it while I'm on set.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to be too far away from it. Okay. But I don't go home as that person and come back to work. When I come back, or if I'm on stage, when I'm in the wings, just before I go on stage, I'm that person. Once the show's over and I come out the stage door, I'm Obba. Okay. But backstory. To give you an example, that character, the old guy, his backstory is this, and I wrote the backstory. See, your backstory is not something necessarily that the writer writes, George. Mm-hmm. That's something that you do in your own work and how you prepare. Everybody has their own methodology of the way they work. This is how I work. This is how I came up doing it. And that is that my guy ended up on this work camp in this way. When he was a kid, he was down at him and his buddies were down at a watering hole. His father and mother were sharecroppers. They worked on this plantation. So they're down at the watering hole and they're throwing the ball around, and these other kids come, little white kids come along, and they say, "Hey, give me the ball." He said, "Hey, man, it's my ball." And so my guy gets into a fisticuffs with this kid. Mm-hmm. And he's getting the best of him, and then we hear him, a male adult voice, call his son, "Johnny." We know it's his father, and everybody scatters. He goes to his dad, and his friends go, and later that night, there's a knock on the door. And my father looks out the door hole and sees who it is. And he beckons me as a child to go downstairs and hide in the cellar. And he listens. I listen, and I hear, "Send your boy." And he said, "For what?" He said, "Don't ask no questions. Just send that boy out here." And he said, and I ask you for what? He said, well, there's one or two things. It's either him or you. And then it's quiet. Then I hear my mother whimpering. She cries out. And then some shuffling, some chuckling. I come upstairs and there's my mother lying on the floor and she's been taken advantage of. The blood is seeping from between her legs. I run outside to find my father, to tell him what's going on. And as I round the bend, hanging from the tree is my father. He's been hung by his neck. His private parts have been cut off and stuck in his mouth.
Wow.
Years later, mother dies from poor health. My sister and I now are working on that same plantation. And one day she's working and that man that did that to my dad slaps my sister and I jump up in front of him. And he says, boy, you back up. Or you end up just like your daddy. Later that day, that man was found bludgeoned to death. I never admitted or denied it. And that's how I end up on that work camp.
Mm.
Now, with that history, that informs how everything that I do and say as scripted, whether that story ever shows up in the movie is irrelevant.
Yeah.
But everything that you two gentlemen do and we all do as human beings is informed by our life experience.
That's right.
So that's how I go about preparing for the different characters, you know.
So that backstory is, because I want to see that film too. Your backstory is almost as compelling as you know, as any film that you can watch. And I know I've studied like the British technique, the British method, where you know you get the time, the place, you know, the family, the economics of the character, and you put all these things, and then that from that you actually pull a character and then the different pieces. But you know, now listening to you, and this is like, you know, take notes, people out there, because this is like a master class. Because it didn't occur to me to really create, holy cow, a backstory that was so deep that when you, because I was thinking to myself, when you arrived on set with that backstory, you're good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you have so much emotion to draw from that backstory that I'm
Yes.
thinking, I'm blown away. And that's why you went into that character so convincingly, like you were there. Because of that.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
amazing.
And that's why I say fully realized human being, you know.
Yes.
And you know, but even little things, you find little things. Like, for example, I talked to the fact that he, in that scene, as the older guy he holds the cigarette, but he doesn't hold a cigarette between these two fingers. He holds it between these two fingers. And that's because this one does not work, because of when he bludgeoned that man, that stopped working.
Look at that.
So even
Incredible.
just that, you know, you come in to finding something, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, each thing will inform something if you allow it. You know what I mean? And then you could do the same thing. What's wonderful is with something that's a dramatic thing.
Right.
But what I always tell people when I'm teaching, from time to time, I do teach a master class, and I ask the attendees, I say, okay, everybody, tell me what your idea of great acting is. And they already, I was making people believe this, and they give me all the points, and I say, okay, great, you're all on point. But let me tell you what I've learned how to boil it down to one thing. It's looking the person that you're in the scene with in the eye and telling them the absolute truth with the lines that you have. Let the movie or the story tell whether you're telling the truth or not. So case point, an example, if I'm playing a guy and I come up and I'm like
hey, yo, look here, dog. It's Mr. John. I be watching your show for years. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, and you have a George, man. He be on the show with you. You know, look here, man. I know. A lot of people might think that, you know, but listen, Mr. John, you know, could I just, you know, got a couple of dollars, you know, give a brother, man, help a brother out. And you said, man, I'm sorry, I ain't got nothing today for you, man. I understand, man. I understand. Now, same guy, a different approach.
Right.
Hey, sir, I'm sorry to bother you. I really am. You know, I'm not a drug addict, but I've fallen on hard times. I got a family like you, man. You think? I mean, I'm embarrassed to ask you. Anything you got, man, would help. And then 2 scenes later, you see the same dude. Yo, man, yeah, motherfucker, give me that rock. Woo! See?
Yeah.
One, you would be liable to give to the guy rather than playing right on top of it all along, because it's too easy. Then if you're scripted to give or not give, it doesn't help.
Yeah.
So the point being is how I take my characters on a journey to you. So it whether it's, you know, we talked about the one that was backstory with the guy that was the you know, with parents. That was a different time period, right? This modern day period, same thing with, like, if a guy is like saying to a young lady, excuse me, but you're stunning. I must tell you, you are, I'd have to say you're one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen. And I'm not trying to, you know, in any way be someone who is flirtatious, but I'm sure you've told us a lot, but you're amazing. And later in the script, you find out that guy is a serial killer.
Mm. Yeah.
Rather than playing him as, hey, yo, baby,
Right.
I can take the same lines, because the lines can be said 1,000 ways.
That's right.
But how do I want you to proceed so that it unfolds, the story unfolds in the way you're presenting them? Fully realized human being.
Wow. Incredible.
That's so wild. I was gonna get my wallet because I was gonna give you. I was like, where's my wallet? I'll write you a check now. Sorry, George. I just want to jump in.
No, go right ahead, man.
So when you read a script, right? And this is, I want to go on a little bit on process because I'm just fascinated right now. What's the first thing you look at that is there something that, are you looking for something when you first get a script, or are you going in blank and you're just reading it for the material? Is it telling you something?
It's another great question. I read the script to learn what the author created. Okay. I'm not judging it. I go in, I'm like, what is this? And I'm not looking, a lot of people always look, well, what's my part? No, I want to read the script to see what is the story, what is the movie about. And then when I get to who my guy is, you know, what's his arc in the movie? How is it, you know, because every character whether you have a 30-second scene or whether you're in the thing for the whole time, you've got to have an arc.
Yeah.
You've got to have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Sure.
If you are doing a scene, John, and the scene is the guy who delivers, he's a what do they call it, DoorDash, and he delivers the people their food. That's your part. See, somebody said, well, I didn't really do much to them. I just bought a cup of coffee. Yeah, but who were you when you bought that cup of coffee?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you were on your way, you know, to the thing, you know, did the last person not tip you, and so you pissed off? So I can play that scene where it's like, ding dong, yeah. And the line is, did you ordered from Johnson and Johnson's? Da, da, da. Yeah. So now let's say I'm upset because I didn't get a tip. Yeah. You ordered from Johnson and Johnson. You know, okay, all right, hold on 1 second. You know, I'm sitting standing there waiting for, you know, okay, thank you very much. Same scene. Mm-hmm. I just got $100 tip. Hey, how you doing? You ordered from Johnson & Johnson? Yes. Okay, hold on a second. All right. Same lines.
Yeah.
Completely different character in that thing. Beginning, middle, and end. How's it going? Yes. Now, you know, you see me?
Yeah.
All right. Have a great day. You know, call us again. Whatever the lines are. Relative. So I always tell people, ask yourself, what is your emotional state? Because you see, as human beings, we're kinetic, meaning that we feel. If you open yourself to seeing what you're feeling, okay, so that the three of us could be standing and talking, and somebody walk, you know, people were passing by, and somebody walked by, and their vibe is odd. We're gonna kind of turn on. Oh, my man, all right? You know, you can feel it when you're open to feeling it. So that's the same thing that I want with the characters. So that, for example, you guys know each other for a long time. If George called you up and said, hey, John, how you feeling? And let's say you really are feeling really good, but you don't really want to share what's going on with you. You're like, hey, how's it going, George? You good? Yeah, I'm good. You go, wait a minute, man. You sound like you're in a good mood. What's up? Oh, everything's cool, man. No, it's just, I'm happy to hear from you, bro. Same lines. Circumstance different, right? How you feeling? I'm good, man. What's wrong? No. Everything's great, man. No problem. You know, I'm glad to hear from you, though. Same lines.
Yeah.
Different scene.
That's right.
Different scene. Okay, because he feels it. He don't have to even be with you. You don't have to do. Oh man, I'm going through something, man. You don't have to do that. You say, hey, I'm good, man. I'm really good. I'm good, man. You know, you can feel it because we're kinetic beings as human beings.
Yes.
That's why animals. You know, just why animals. You know, if you be around certain animals and they if you're afraid of that animal, they're gonna be.
That's right. Yeah.
But if they start out there and you're like, hey, what's wrong, boy? Take it easy. They
Right.
They change because they can sense, they can smell what's coming off you.
And those choices also that you make can also pop off the screen like you wouldn't believe, because even though there were, you can say, a small role, but the choice that you made, you put the work into it. So even though maybe you have, you know, 2 or 3 or a 5-liner or somewhere, but you really developed those 5 lines. So when you said those 5 lines, they pop, you know, and that's how you get noticed. And that's how.
And you know what, bro? You're 100% correct, because that's another thing that no matter how quote unquote big or small the role was, I always wanted to be the guy in the movie, the character that people go, I want to know more about that guy.
Yeah.
I want to know more about that guy.
Yes.
So when I did the movie with Tom Hanks, it was his directorial debut, and That Thing You Do, and he called me up and he said, "Hey, Obba, you know, I got this character, man, and I just think you could. He's a doorman, but he kind of reminds me of this guy that was in my family's life in the apartment building when we lived growing up." That's okay. I got you. So now, because it was his directorial debut, I'll credit to that. He was in directing. He was coming out and he was acting out how he wanted
everybody to stay in line. So he goes up, Obba, you walk out and you look around and you say, this is my hotel. And so I jokingly put my hands behind my back. I said, oh, okay, Tom, I'll walk out. I'll look around and I'll say, this is my, he said, sorry, man, just go ahead and do the part. Well, there's so many people that see the movie and say, Lamar is my favorite character in that movie.
Wow.
Look at that.
So, sorry, George,
It's okay.
I'm hijacking the interview. But, you know, when you're talking about directors, you know, that's very interesting too, because you came in with an approach, you did the work, you show up on set, and then you have a new, of course, it's Tom Hanks, so it's a little different of a new director. It's Tom Hanks as the new director, but directors do tend, and this is a learning thing that I actually realized too, you hired them because they're professionals and they know what they're doing, and they're going to come in with having done the work. But you get into the habit of being like, okay, so when you come in, be like, hey, you know, and you do that, whatever. How do you deal with that? You know, having been on, especially on, you know, on television where there's different directors coming in and you have a character that's been pretty stable for quite some years. Somebody who's, you know, what is that challenge like? Is that something that you run into?
Man, y'all got the best questions, man, and it just affords such a teaching opportunity, I hope, for those that are listening.
I love it.
Because no, sincerely, I appreciate it. I appreciate you, man, because they're intelligent questions and they help. And you can learn from this experience. Okay, case point and example. Everybody, listen carefully, I give position, respect, until position shows me it's not meritocracy of that respect. So everybody has a position. The position of the director, that's his position. I have a position as an actor. The producer has a position. The executive producer has a position. The DP has a position. We're all coming together, hopefully, to bring each of our positions together to serve the property.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was in a situation where the director came over to me in this particular scene, and he goes, "Hey man, Obba, listen, this time, you know, when you're saying the scene, doing the scene, just ignore it. Just ignore him." And he got to walk away. I said, "Excuse me." I said, "Why am I ignoring him? I'm the one that's called this meeting. I need this meeting." He goes, "Well, listen, see, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the other actor to do." I said, "Hold, stop." I said, "Go talk to that actor. They can take direction." I said, "Don't ask me to play my part to help him or her play her part. Wow. That's their job, to get them to play their part." I said, "I'm here to do what my character's about. And it doesn't make sense for me how you want me to do that, other than you trying to get somebody else to do something, then perhaps I can try that. But I don't understand." So case point and example, later in the show, there's the scene is where I'm getting ready. It's a scene between my son and I'm concerned because I got to make a phone call to the doctor to find out whether or not my tests have come back positive or negative, and I've got trepidation. And the scene is where my son says, "Pop, call. It might be good news." And I go, "And what if it's not?" And he says, "Then we'll deal with that." I look at him, I pick up the phone, and I hit the button, and I call. And they cut and cut. The director comes in and goes, "Hey man, that was good. But look, you know what? I don't know if you have that guy on speed dial. You know, so maybe you should dial." I said, "My friend, this is a man who is about to tell me whether I'm going to potentially live or die. I absolutely have his number on speed dial." Right. That was a choice. That's why I hit it. Because it informs. It's not about me dialing a number. It's about me finding out what the scene is about, whether I'm going to live or die based on what comes on the other side of this phone.
Right.
I'm not worrying about how I can look at the phone and dial this number. I could do that, but me doing that gives me so much more to play.
Yeah.
And to this director's credit, at the end of that day, he came up to me and said, "Hey, man, I enjoyed working with you. I learned a lot today." So I hope that answers the question.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Definitely.
I love that.
Respect position.
Yeah.
But I also have a position. See, and that's
course.
the other thing too, is that I was in another situation where the producer, not the director, gave the director a direction to give to me that didn't make any sense to the director or me. And so the director didn't give me the note. You know, he just said, "Oh, well, you're doing great. Just keep doing that." Next take, I see the producer beckon him over again. And the director goes, "Well, and he pushes the director out of the way and walks up to me and gives me a direction. He says, "When you say your last line, get off quicker." And as he walked away, I said, "Excuse me, where am I going in such a hurry?" He said, "What?" I said, "You told me when I say my last line, say it to get off quicker. And I'm asking you, where am I going in such a hurry?" And he said, "Are you asking me?" He's a big time producer. He said, "Are you asking me for motivation?" And I said, "Some might deem it as such." He said, "Your paycheck." And I said, "I don't work for a paycheck."
Wow. Wow.
And it got quiet. You could hear a mouse peeing on cotton. Everybody started looking around in their bags and he went and sat down, because you see what happened was,
wow,
I respected the position of the producer,
Right.
but I have a position as an actor. I'm responsible to do something, and I'm going to be true to that craft and to the project.
right.
And it didn't make sense for me if I, in that scene, who is giving orders, now I'm just running away. But I knew that he was going from the position of the producer, and he was taking it, and he was going to boss the director around.
Right.
Right. Right.
So then it became personal.
Right.
Now, when it becomes personal, then we have to deal with it personally. When we're dealing professionally, I give respect to the position, but I'm not Larry Lettucehead, man.
Right.
And I have been doing this a while.
Right.
And I function like that in my life as well, which is, if you say something to me and I don't understand, I can say, "John, George, why are you saying that?" And then you should be able to explain to me why.
Right.
If you say, "Because I said so," I'm not buying it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not buying it.
I think that producer also needed to understand. He was probably thinking with the cut, the final cut that has to air, and he figured trimming a little bit here or there would be, but he doesn't understand tempo, because every scene has a tempo, every scene has a rhythm, and if you suddenly you have this rhythm and then you run off, it's going to throw the rhythm off, and then the next scene is just going to not be. People are going to be a little bit thrown, because psychologically it throws people when they're. That's why you shoot with a certain tempo and a certain rhythm. So I think that producer was sort of looking for some other solution to handle some other problem that he just took it out on that poor director.
Yeah, and me. And see,
And
that's
you.
not my that's not my issue.
Right.
Right.
That's not my issue. You know what I mean?
Right.
If
Right.
if the scene, if he said, "Well, I'm just trying to, let's take the tempo of the scene up a little bit all the way through. Don't give me." He didn't have an answer, because his answer, I don't know. I'll take that back. I don't know if that was what he was thinking. You gave him a back door,
I don't know if that was, I don't know if that's why he did it, but I just know that when I asked him, where am I going in such a hurry? He couldn't answer that question, and then he started flexing, are you asking me for motivation? Well, some might deem it as so, your paycheck. Well, now you're just telling me I just work for you and I'm supposed to do whatever you tell me because I'm getting paid. I didn't take this job because I'm getting paid. I'm an artist, man.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so when it goes from, it's like anything else, you guys know, when it goes from being professional to personal, you have to deal with it personally.
That's right.
That's right.
I do, and I think you guys do too.
Yes.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's all integrity, really. You kept your integrity during that moment. And I think when someone keeps their integrity and it's in front of people and somebody's trying to flex, they don't have an answer. What answer? What are you going to say? Right. Integrity is integrity.
Yeah, that's
it. That's what I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll tell you what, I can ask great questions for hours because this has been so amazing, but I also want to talk about your films coming up.
Yes.
So, which one should we start off with? I'm going to have you tell me.
I'd like to actually mention Love the Skin You're In first. Okay. If you don't mind, because looking at that character that you're playing, the dad in this situation, and again, in that situation, I'm identifying myself with what's going on in that film. As we talked about it a little bit last time you were on, but as a child of trauma, myself going through trauma with my parents and stuff like that, and then having to heal and try to heal as those years went on, right? With anxiety and with all these things. And now you're coming back into her life and you're, and she's dealing with that and all that type of thing. And similar to, by the way, just as an aside, kind of what you did with Shamar Moore and SWAT, right? Where you came back into Shamar's Moore's life, as well. So first of all, just so you know, amazing performances. I identify with that. And in the beginning of SWAT, by the way, because I watched SWAT, 8 seasons of it, by the way, incredible.
Yes.
But in the beginning of SWAT, when you first came on, I couldn't stand your character. Okay.
Right.
And by design, right? Because you're the way you portrayed him, but the dad in that, and how it affected me who went through that, as a guy. So you obviously are an amazing actor doing exactly what you did. But again, talking about arc, now you're seeing how he's changing through those years and in the 8 seasons, how he's dealing with his kid, grown kid, right? And how he's affecting his kid and the decisions that he's making later on, right? So beautiful arc in that. Now you have the same type of thing in this film, right? Where you're there with your daughter and the decisions she's making, and you're asking her, she's doing something in the scene where you're asking her, have you seen anybody for that? And have you talked to anybody because you're doing that anxiety, that thing? And she's like, I'm just trying to cook here. I'm just trying. And you're asking her, and you're trying to, amazing stuff. But let me ask you about this. How do you deal with the arc of the character over 8 seasons versus the arc of a character in a film like this, where it's literally like just 2 hours where you have to really develop the character?
Well, in the again, that arc in a series becomes the work and the journey of the writers. From episode to episode to episode to episode of how it unfolds. And then I, as the actor, have to take hold of the material and make sure that I'm playing the absolute arc of the scene as is written, or the scenes as they are written in that particular episode. In a feature film, right, you have the whole thing laid out for you. And again, how you then approach and tell the story through that character's eyes, is important. Love the Skin You're In is a
powerful movie because it deals with so many things.
Yeah.
It deals with, as you mentioned, what happens when a child is scarred,
Yes.
whether it was intentional or unintentional. The reality is they were scarred. In this particular case, she was scarred emotionally, because she felt that her father, when his bride died, is her mother, and he had to then go out to be the breadwinner, and she became a latchkey kid.
Yeah.
And she, with the wherewithal of a child at that age, felt that she had lost both parents.
Right.
When his view is, if I don't go out and to earn a living and make sure that you have thus, and so, you don't have any chance. But again, each person is seeing it from their perspective.
That's right.
And now they've been separated for almost 15 to 20 years. And he is faced with a health issue. And his challenge is he can either go to a facility or go stay with family. The only family he has is her. And he shows up at the door. Now, what do we deal with this situation where these two people are coming back together all these years with all that's gone on in each of their mind, with all of her challenges that he, in her mind, is responsible for, and him going, my God, I am in one way, but what other choice did I have? So it's a beautiful thing of watching this maturation of this relationship come together. How does it find itself back together? You mentioned one scene where, he identifies that she's got a challenge where she's injuring herself, and he's going, are you seeing somebody for that? So now we open the door. What I love about this piece is we open the door to things, therapy, where it is that in certain cultures, therapy is a no-no. It's like, hey man, you just deal with it. You just the way it is. You know what I mean? You just grow up and everybody had a problem. You know what I mean? Blah, 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 blah. But what does that do to the next set of generations? What does that do? What is that? So we deal with that. We deal with her challenge. We deal with her not knowing what. You have formulated an idea that someone did something to you is the reason that your life is in a bad position. And now with more maturity, you start to maybe go, well, that's not how it felt then. But I see now, maybe I have some sense of responsibility, but what do I do with these emotions? I've placed you in a position, in a place. So we deal with these issues in this. And Saoda Johnson wrote a beautiful script. And she really deals with all that you have described and that I'm sharing with you. So I'm excited. It can be seen now on all the platforms because it started started streaming February 3rd. So for those of you who have not seen it yet, you can go to your TV and whatever those smartphones you got, and you can find out one of the platforms for Love the Skin You're In and check it out. You might go on a very beautiful journey. It's got it deals with some issues. It deals with the homeless issue. Because what happens when you find yourself living on the street, but your pride doesn't afford you help? What goes on? What happens with you if you're in that circumstance, situation? What is that born out of? What did that sense of? So we deal with a lot of issues. We deal with the issue of community and what happens in that community that they're living in, where it's been the center has been in this family's life for a long time, and it's provided so much. And now another individual who you grew up with is coming and saying, we're going to have to close the center unless. You go, what are you talking about? Do you know this is something for the community? Your father, yes, my father, you know, did that, but he didn't take care of business. And now we don't have an ability to keep this open.
Yeah.
But we're going to replace it with this or that. So I'm not going to give too much away movie, but it deals with a lot of wonderful issues, and it's very powerful.
Great. That's awesome. You know, emotional conflict is such a challenge in film to like pull off. You know, I think that because of the Marvel movies and all the superheroes and all the different IPs that are sequels and stuff, when you get a real emotional conflict film where you're just like torn, and like George was just saying, I went through the same thing. I never met my dad. I was also homeless when I was a teenager. So I went through, so films like this just tug at you, and then they elevate you in a way too, because they make you actually confront something.
Yes.
And that's what I love about films, because you'll have 100 people watch the same film, and you'll have 100 different stories behind them, and that's what's gorgeous about films. I love it. So I want to go on to the next one. This is
Ruby's Heart.
Yeah. So
Ruby's Heart.
Yeah.
And you know, I wrote this one.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And directed.
Oh, awesome.
And I'm also acting in it.
Wow.
And
wow.
How this came about was, there's a young lady named Melina Gay who this story is sort of based on the love that she had for her grandmother, whose name was Ruby, and her grandfather, whose name was Benjamin, and who we both, Angela Gibbs, who's brilliant in this piece, plays, she's Marla Gibbs, happens to be Marla Gibbs' daughter, and Marla Gibbs is also in Love the Skin You're In. So I got to work with Marla, and I got to work with Angela.
Oh, that's so cool.
In two beautiful independent films. But Melina's grandmother just transitioned at 102, I believe. But she's lived with her grandmother being her rock all these years. And she was telling me about this, and she says, she was dealing with the grief of not knowing how to deal with the loss of her grandmother. And I got this idea of telling this story about dealing with grief. And so what happens in Ruby's Heart is my character, Benjamin, he has lost his bride of some 50 years, and he's still functioning. And to the world, he looks like he's doing great. He's a successful attorney. He's got a great business, but he's in a rut. And he comes in every single day from work, does the exact same thing. Puts his key from his car in the key fob, and the program from his wife's service is on that same table. He rubs it, goes to the bar, pours himself a glass of water, looks out the window. And I wrote a character that never speaks, but speaks loudly. It is the telescope. And then he goes to the telescope, and he looks through the telescope, and what he sees is the memories of the best times of their life.
Oh, wow.
And so what happens is that in the course of this, one day he's looking through the telescope, and that picture that you saw in the poster, it's him serenading her. And we hear Benjamin, a female voice, Benjamin, you spend far too much time in the past. And he turns, and there she sits. And she says, it's because it's the best time of my life now that I don't have you anymore. Wow. And then we see what it would be like if that person that you loved all these years was able to come back to you, but they're still on the other side. And so we journey through this relationship. And the way I directed it and shot it is that they're in the same frame when they're talking to each other, but they're never close enough to touch. And there's a reason for that. And so Then he has a grandson, their grandson, who's about to go off. So this has to do with family. I wanted to include that because it was her family. And the character's name is Milty, which is actually Melina Gay's actual nephew's name. So we are paying a tribute and legacy to her family as well. So he's getting ready to go off to college. And he says to his mother, played by Dawn Lewis, the wonderful actor Dawn Lewis, his mom, Grandpa, I'm a little concerned about him now that I'm going off to college, because I'm not going to be here. And, because he and his grandson he's taught him to play chess. That's their pastime. They play pickleball together. And he's concerned that if he doesn't have those things, where he might be slipping, because he could tell. And, my daughter says, hey, listen, I know my father. He'll get through it. He can get through anything. And he's definitely, he says, but I'm thinking about what would be nice if he got on a dating app. And she goes, my father has no interest in being on a dating app, but shoot your best shot. And then this is the part of the movie that I write, which is the humor part, because I know so many people that have told me, and it also is my intention, to make this universal, because generally when you make a movie, they ask you what your demographic is. Gentlemen, think about this. On the dating apps is 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s. People are on these apps. And what I heard about it is that most of the time, what the description that the person gives of themselves is often not really who they are.
Right.
And so in the movie, he convinces his grandpa to go on 3 dates. And then you will see what the experience of these 3 dates are, right?
Wow.
And he's telling this to his departed bride.
Okay.
So in that conversation, he's like, yeah, so you got me, you beat me at this, and because he agreed if you beat me at pickleball and you beat me at this, I'll go on 1. And he goes, no, I tell you what, if I beat you at pickleball and I beat you at chess, you go on at least 3. So they're going back and forth. Anyway, he ends up going on these 3 dates, right? And we see them, but he's explaining this to his departed bride. And you'll watch how that interaction, it plays out. And then, so there's much more to it. And my intention was, this is a film short. It's going to be in the both my movies are in the Pan-African Film Festival. And it's the first time in the Pan-African Film Festival. It's going to be, there's this particular screening on the 19th of Ruby's Heart. It's a film short, but I wrote it and directed it and shot it. I wanted it to feel like a full-length feature. And I think we were able to accomplish that. So that's the magic of that. And then on the 21st, also Ruby's Heart. Love the Skin You're In is going to air at the Pan-African Film Festival. So I got 2 independent films, both in the Pan-African Film Festival, and I'm thrilled. Awesome. And I'm looking to take them all over the country, and I want to get there to New York, man, and then take place and have you guys come and support and hang out with me, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
On both,
That'd be awesome. Wow. I got to ask you though, because writing, directing, and acting is the juggle. People don't seem to understand. There's so many hats that you have to wear instantaneously. Like instantaneous. You could be on set, you're ready, you're writing character, and suddenly you realize that light should not be on right now. And we gotta move or this or whatever. How did that feel? And is that something that you want to actually continue doing? Are you going to do another one? Are you going to do a feature?
Well, you know what? Absolutely. You know what the deal is that it's beautiful, because after a half a century in this business, I've learned a lot about each, and I respect the position. Again, there it is, that word of everybody. the DP, the director, sound. There's so many hats. But when to your point, I'm writing this thing, right? I got to have a writer's hat on.
That's right.
So I'm writing this. Then I got to think about when I'm going to film it. It's a director's hat. It's a totally different hat. So I'm putting those shots together, also budget. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also a producer on the movie. So I'm thinking about, okay, now hold on. You mentioned earlier, how long do I have to get this shot?
Right.
You know what I mean? That day so I can make my day. Okay. All right. And then talking to my actors, right? Communicating with them what I'm trying to get from them. I'm fortunate in this movie that I've worked with some very, very talented and skilled individuals. But the one young man that plays the grandson, he's being introduced. This is his first feature. So working with him, then you got, as you know, John, post-production. I got to work with the editor. I got to work with the colorist. I got to work with the sound designer. I'm working with putting all of the score together with the composer. So I've got on it. My hands are completely immersed in this piece.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that I step outside and immerse myself in who I am at that time.
Right.
And again, and that's what I had to do.
Yeah, and you have to switch it. You have to make that switch when you're. But isn't it also like the best? It's like for me, I remember I did. I've done like 10 shorts that I've written and directed, and the ones that I was in was kind of a nightmare because I was like, just like, what am I doing? I'm like, and so it was a learning process. It was a learning process. But the last one, I really figured I learned so much on that, and it was so much work, and it took me over a year because it was during the pandemic also, and I couldn't get an editor, and I had to edit it myself, and I just went online and literally took a course online. I did all this stuff, but as I was doing it, I was loving every single minute of it, and I just loved the process, even though you can, and I have no hair, so it's open. But if I had hair, it'd be pulled off.
It'd be on fire.
It'd be on fire, and I would love it. I would love it. Thank you so much. I mean, these are such great projects. We've already passed the hour, and I want to respect your time, and I wanted to talk a little bit about independent film in general, just because I feel that we're at the beginning of a golden era of independent films right now, with everything that's been happening with all the studios and different studios opening all across the country, all the world, actually. Just real quickly, if you can tell us what your views are on that.
Well, I agree with you 100%. There's an opportunity now. Exists before the previous opportunity existed. You see, because that age was a new age. They called it the golden age of Hollywood. Right. And that was what that was at that time. The studio system was a new system. So each thing gives birth to something else. And here we are now. This is an opportunity. I'm just want to encourage everybody to please don't lose sight of the craft. You can make a movie, but if it's not any good, it's not any good. Right. So the same thing, whether it's an independent film or whether it's a big studio film, we used to say back in the day that is the idea a good idea to start with? Because if you got a bad idea and you polish a bad idea, all you end up with is a shiny bad idea. So you want to start with what is it that makes a good idea? It's how what we've talked about today is what is it that we as human beings, because the power, the potential power of filmmaking, because it goes all around the world. It goes all around the world. Case point and example, man. You both alluded to this earlier in your comments. As from your own personal experiences, you know, I remember there was a movie called The Joy Luck Club. And I happened to be like, I heard about this movie and I thought it was a chick flick, as they call it. And I was on a date and it's like, okay, I'll go to the movies and see this thing. And man, I was blown away because I saw this culture, a side of it that I was unexposed to, unaware of. And because it hadn't been portrayed, it hadn't been revealed to me. But they were real human beings dealing with real issues. The fact that they happened to be of an Asian culture mattered not, because there wasn't this box that they were put into. And that's the same thing that I want I want us to take and not box ourselves into an idea of what somebody else has said we are. But who are you? Who are you? You know what I mean? I would coin the phrase of the movie, love the skin you're in.
That's right.
Love the skin you're in. That's, now it's open to everybody, isn't it? Love the skin you're in. Now, if you do that, now you present which I keep talking about, fully realized human beings. Tell a story that is relatable. We talked about these two movies and both of you were like, wow, I want to check that out because it somehow touched you. Something that you can relate to, you know? And that's what I want us to take the independent, you know, because I'm telling you, the independent filmmaking road is strewn with failed projects that people thought it was a great idea, and then they got into it and it was like, wait a minute, I didn't know it was all about this. You know, I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know anything about that. Yes, take the time to learn so that you can present the craft. It's the same thing with anything that you're going to do. Anything. We talked about a little bit before we got on camera, on screen, about health. Learn about your body. Learn about what it takes. Learn, you know, learning is such a beautiful thing, man. You know, John, you mentioned, you said, when I was doing it, every bit of it, when I really got into it, it was the greatest time of my life. I was thrilled to be doing this because you're creating. So think less, I would think, about how much you think you might make materialistically and what is the craft that you can do and that you can give as a methodology for telling the story of lives, stories, whether it's a film short, whether it's a feature, whether it's a documentary, because each one is different.
Oh yeah.
Each one is different. And there's a different way that we approach each one. So people call me all the time and I'll look at the material and I say, okay, but let me ask you a question. Is this going to be a feature? Is this going to be a sitcom? Is this going to be for television? Is it going to be a documentary? Is it going to be a drama? Is it going to be a dramedy? Is it going to be a comedy? Well, I like them all. I said, yeah, but you can't put, you can have fun in it, but you have to have a trajectory. And they hadn't thought about that because they think a lot of times they look at something on TV and they go, oh, I can do that. It's like people with acting. They look at you and they go, oh man, I could do that. Until, you know, I've had people say to me over the years, hey, yo, man, I see you in a whole bunch of stuff. Hey, look here, bro. Next time you getting ready to do a movie up. And I say, let me ask you a question. I said, have you ever been physically ill enough to have to see a medical professional? You mean like a doctor or something like that? Yeah. I said, do you ever remember upon leaving that person's office, turning to them and saying to them, hey, yo, doc,
Next time you get ready to do an examination or operation, hook a brother up. I said, you don't say that because you realize at that particular moment, in that particular circumstance, you may not have that skill set. I said, please don't belittle what guys like me and others do. And I know you don't, you mean it as a compliment. I said, but if I took you on set and you had to perform, bruh, you'd be lost because you wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, it was funny. George and I were literally just talking about this.
That's right.
You know,
yeah.
You know, I mean, it's these things are craft. Yeah. Everybody gets a camera and they think they're a filmmaker.
That's it.
But wait a minute. Do you know about what that camera does? Have you studied lighting? Because see now everybody, no man, it's the red dog, the red shoots it. I say, yeah, but you do realize that that's still video. So that when you go from dark to light, what happens? What? What? Ain't it gonna be the same? No, you gotta learn lighting to make sure that. Do you realize that you got the body of the camera, but what's the lens that you have?
What's the lens? there's your money.
This is not an Instamatic. We just go. You're not taking pictures, man.
Yeah. Well, I remember someone told me, they said, you know, the playing field has been leveled as far as technology. People can have the technology now, but the craft is the craft.
Come on.
That's not up for debate. That's not the playing field is not leveled on that. It's how much work you put into it, how much study it, and how much you work it, and how much you love it. And when you get cut and you're bleeding and you still go. And when somebody says your film sucks and you still go do the next one and you do the next one. That's what the craft is all about. It's about learning. And the equipment is the equipment. It's great. You know, it's great that we have all these cameras and all these fancy stuff, but doesn't do anything. Oh my gosh. Let me see. I got somebody here asking some questions.
We got questions, huh?
I think it's just a guy commenting.
Oh, okay.
I professionally produced television commercials for 20 years. Awesome, Mike.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Wow, look at that.
Thanks for tuning in. Obba, oh my gosh. I mean, I look up and we're like at over an hour. I'm like, what just happened? I mean, we just started. This has been, as always, it's such a joy to have you on. This is your home here. Anytime you need to come here, you just, you have a key. You just open the door and come in.
It means a great deal to me, man.
Yeah,
it really does.
Love having you on because you come with so much to give.
Yes.
I feel so jazzed right now. I want to go get my next. I'm working on my next thing. I just want to go work on it right now. And that this kind of stuff that actually we love. So thank you so much.
Yes,
absolutely.
Well, listen, thank you guys. As I said at the beginning of the program, you do because you give guys like me and other people an opportunity to share. And if anything that I've said, and I always leave you guys with this, is that if anything that I said registered, feel good, remember this. I return the compliment to you. You call this moment into your life. Results come from actions, not intentions. Someone can say, I didn't intend or I intended. No. The reason that we're talking right now is because you guys took action to put this together and gave me an opportunity to reach and touch other folks. And you do that. That's what you guys do. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart, man. And I encourage you.
Wow.
And I tell you, man, as Satchel Paige used to say, don't look left, don't look right, don't look behind you. Just look straight ahead because something might be gaining on you. And he would say that because that's the deal, is that yesterday is but one of two things, a pleasant or an unpleasant memory. But it's a memory. It's in the past. It's gone. Tomorrow has yet not happened. So it's perfect. It's pristine because it didn't happen.
Why would you take something that happened yesterday and throw it into tomorrow and have it waiting for you? That doesn't seem like a good idea.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
And we prepare for tomorrow by how we live today, because today will be yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
So let's continue to move forward, move ahead. You know, people always say, Obba, you've been doing this a long time. Man, what advice do you have for somebody wanting to do this? And I say, simply this: remember, they cannot take from you what they did not give to you. Your gifts, your abilities, and your talents, they were given to you. You came here with them. To the degree that you work to develop them is on you.
Yeah.
Right.
So worry not about what someone's thoughts, views, and opinions about your life are. Because what you say is true for you, not what someone else says. Because someone else can say, man, you're the best dude in the world. And you walk away and they say, I can't stand that guy. See,
Right.
what does that mean? No. You know, you can do a performance and you go, man, I was terrible. And the guy said, man, you were great. And you know, no, I was terrible. You might think I was great, but I know I was terrible. So to thine own self be true. These adages, they mean so much when you really grab hold to them. So I'm telling you, if anything that you've been able to, if you're jazzed and you feel excited, this is what you called into your life, John. This is what you called, and this is what you called into your life, George. Remember that, man. You know, because I'm telling you, every investment brings a return. And if it's a good investment, it's going to be a good return. I give the example that throwing the ball up against the wall, no matter you throw it, I throw it, or whoever throws it, no matter their station in life, no matter where they are on the planet, if they're on the planet Earth, you throw the ball against the wall, the ball is coming back.
Coming back.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming back. So that's the energy that you put forward. Don't worry about when. Just know that it is coming back. Sometimes that wall is a little bit further away, so it takes that ball a little longer to get to it, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it hits that wall and it takes a little longer for it to get back to you. But it's always coming back. My life is a guaranteed proof of it. So know that that's how you advance, knowing, hey, I'm going to do this today because I know eventually it's going to pay off. It's going to come back. And it's not just going to come back for me. It's going to come back with reciprocity for others.
Yeah.
Because that which I give, I'm going to receive.
That's right.
There's so many times. One time when we come on, I'm going to spend some time talking about my philosophy of life and how
Love it.
it has served. Because I'm a guy that started out in, you know, hoping and dreaming, you know, but I'm also a guy that committed myself. You hear what I said? I committed myself to winning. I committed myself to winning, and I didn't let anybody turn me around. Nobody. I don't care what you say, because you're talking about it. That's your viewpoint and your opinion. And maybe it didn't work for you, but I'm not you. I'm me. And I'm going to go forward. And I'm going to do this to the very best that I can. And I hope that I leave every situation that I come to a little bit better than I found it. Someone asked me on the red carpet, they said, what is it that you'd like to be remembered by? And I say, hey, that when I met him and I talked to him, I felt a little bit better than what I was feeling right before I talked to him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a simple thing, man. It's a simple thing. I have a choice to make somebody's day or break somebody's day. Why would I choose the latter?
Correct.
It don't cost nothing to be kind.
That's right.
It don't cost nothing to be kind. And you know what I mean? The word no also is a full sentence.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
No is a full sentence. I've said no more than I've said yes in the entertainment industry, because it's been about not right for Obba. That's okay. Y'all can do that. That's cool. But it's not right for Obba. And the only person I got to look at in the mirror is me. And I want to be comfortable with the person I see.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. Wow.
Thank you for today, man.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for being on. This is incredible. We will definitely be watching your projects, and we'll be following. And I know that you'll be back, and we'll have another great conversation as well. Thank you so much, Obba. Hang tight
Thank
there.
you, man.
And we will see you in a second. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Thank you, man.
Wow.
It's like I'm always like, he just has the, I mean, this is technology, and somehow it's coming through the wires and through the Wi-Fi, and it's coming into the space, and it's smacking me, and it's just making me feel great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. We love Obba. Thank you so much, Obba, for president of Earth, though, of Earth.
Yes.
Not just president of Earth. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We appreciate you so much. We love you. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you all next time. George, as always, a pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
Have a wonderful week out there. I'll see you all this week. Take care. God bless. And as always, peace.
Peace.